Hello and welcome everyone to the Thankful Palette. My name is Tracy Herbner and tonight we're going to be painting some cute little birds. So I'm so glad that you're all here joining me tonight. We are going to use a 8 by 10 canvas palette board. So what a board is, as if you could see, it's just basically like almost like a very thick sheet of paper, except it's like that. Okay. All right. So let's just get our setup set up here. Okay, so hopefully we're all set up here. And okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to start with our background first, which is this basically two different colors. So let's move this. And what we're going to start with is we're going to do the entire background color first. So I'm going to use a combination of two different colors. I am going to use Robin's Egg Blue and something called Toasted Marshmallow. And if you don't have those two colors or you want a different color for your background, that's fine. You'll just need two colors. So a blue would look nice as well. And what I'm going to do is just take on my palette paper here, is take some Robin's Eggs Blue and the Toasted Marshmallow. And I am going to take a brush this size and get it wet a little bit and pat out most of your water. And then what I'm going to do is just take a combination of the two colors on my brush like this. And I'm going to come through and just go like this. So I'm just doing like my background. And again, I want that two-tone effect for my background. And if you want it on the lighter side, you're going to want to put more of the lighter color. If you want it on the darker side, then obviously you'll want to put on the darker color. Hey Colleen, so glad that you're here tonight. Are you painting along with us tonight? And Victoria says she's going to try pale blue and sage green. Good combination. I can't wait to see how that goes. And Victoria said, couldn't post my picture to your page, but following along. Well, I'm glad that you're following along. What I'm going to suggest is if you are following along and you want to post your picture, after the video is done, you could go into the comments and you should be able to drop a picture there. But if you're part of my free group, I also would love if you could drop your finished pieces in my free group as well. That's probably the best place to drop them. Colleen says she's trying. Well, I can't wait to see how it comes out. And if you're joining us here, I'd love to know where you're joining us from. Drop a line below and let us know. Can everybody hear me okay today? If you could just let me know, I'd appreciate it. Victoria's joining us from Red Lion. Awesome. Thanks, ladies, for letting me know. Okay, so. Okay, so because of the light, I just want to see if you could see that. And pretty happy with that. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and take my blow dryer and blow it dry a little bit just so I could move along while you ladies are finishing your backgrounds. But first, my blow dryer needs to work. Maybe. Hang on a second. Okay. So what I'm going to want to do then is go ahead and do my outline for my wire. So in case you're just joining us, this is what we're painting tonight. So I'm going to want to put this in faintly. And so what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to put it in with chalk. And I'm going to go about, I'm going to say about right up here. And this is just a guide for me. And that's why I do it in chalk, so that it doesn't ruin my whole painting. If you're comfortable and you don't think that you need the chalk line, that's fine as well. I just like the guide for myself. And so then I'm going to also take with my chalk and go ahead and draw in the bodies of the three birds. So I'm going to start one here. And this is another reason why it's important before you start this step to make sure your background's dry. And Victoria wants me to know if I could mail her chalk. Absolutely. I could mail you chalk. So I'm going to just come like this. Okay. All right, and we're going to follow the same pattern. So I had two looking this way and one looking this way, and I'm going to do the same thing as well. And I'm just putting their little eyes in as well. It was a beautiful day out there. I hope everybody got outside to enjoy the sunshine a little bit. Okay, hey Carrie, so glad that you could join us. Okay, so there, and I'll just quick show you what we're painting tonight, Carrie. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of different colors. We're going to start with this bird over here, and on my template for our tonight practice I did some black for here, and I did, it's actually called Traditional Burnt Sienna. So I'm going to stick with the same colors. And you only want to put a little bit, if you're painting along, you only need a little bit of paint out, so that way you won't waste any. You can always put your paint in if you don't dilute it with anything else. You could put it back in your containers at the end if you're using the traditional craft paint. I just know that today when I did my sample, I did have so much left over, so I know I didn't need quite that much. So you could see here I'm just using very little. Suggestions for other colors. You could do really any color that you would think of a bird. You could do blue and white. You could do some browns with some reds. You could do a black and white one. I know you probably would like that, V. Maybe some red and orange are some ideas. And if anybody else has some ideas for colors, please drop them below. All right. So then I'm going to take a brush about this size, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the brown part first. And I'm going to come to about there. And we could go back in and put his beak in afterwards. So don't worry about that if you cover over your mark. Right now, basically what we're trying to do is, Victoria's asking, how do I lighten the brown? If you have some white, you could put some white in there and it'll turn it to a lighter brown, but do it in very tiny drops. Because if you put too much in, you're going to dilute it too much. Okay, so I think I'm happy with that. So what I want to do is go back in with the black, and I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm going to just go right into the brown paint. And I'm going to go all the way down for his tail. And on this one, I'm going to just cover over his eye, because I'm going to go back in and I'm going to paint his white for the eye, and then go back in and add black to it. So and you could see I'm going up on the tip there, like that. Okay. Okay, so that's a good base coat for that one. All right. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do this one, the yellow and the brown. So I'm going to clean my brush out. Or if you have two, you could use two. I'm just going to use the same one. And I'm going to come back in and I'm going to do yellow here, which is called Sunny Day. And my brown color is Espresso Bean. So again, just tiny drops of each of those colors. And we'll start with the yellow side. So basically all I'm doing is filling in, and we're going to make him go like that. Carrie, I am painting on an 8x10 canvas board. So if you notice, it's not as thick as the canvas, the thicker ones. And actually, I got a pack of 2 at the Dollar General of these. I believe they were $3. And I got them because I am running out of the other kind. So when I was out getting groceries, I stopped there to pick them up. And the other thing I did want to know, I know that Colleen, and I'm not sure if Kim's on here or not, they were asking about the mixed media palettes. And I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to order them to be able to paint on right now. They did have a pad at the Dollar General that would work just as fine. I don't remember what the name of it was, but they do have something there. So if you're going out for groceries, that might be a good place for you to pick up one, till this craziness is over. Okay, so then I'm going to come back into my brown, my darker espresso brown, and I'm going to do the other side, right, like his underbelly. Just need to pull up and see my angle for 1 second, ladies. The lighting, when it goes down on the thing, it's hard for me to see, and I just want to make sure I get it correct. Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Carrie. All right, and then this one, I'm going to do the same sunny yellow, and I'm going to do the toasted marshmallow there. So, again, just cleaning my brushes out. And I'll start with the yellow this time. Like that. And again, this is just the fill-in stage. And you'll notice that there's no right or wrong with the birds. There's different types of birds out there. So if you do if this isn't the style that you want to paint, that's fine. Feel free to paint whatever kind you want. Okay. And that's where his beak is going. So I'm just kind of going around it. Okay, so let me just make sure we didn't miss any spots. You could also not do your background and do your background afterwards, which is how I did do the sample. But as you could see, then you have some pretty tight areas. So after doing it that way, I thought it's best to do your background first and then paint over. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back in and we're going to start adding some details. The first thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of white to my palette here. And I want to put in his eye, because I'm going to make his eye white with the black eyeball. So you're going to want a pretty small brush for this. Make sure you get it wet. And I'm going to put it in the black, the white. Almost messed up, which wouldn't have been a big deal because it wouldn't have showed up because we're going on black. And we're going to put it about here. I guess I'm I'm pretty happy with that because I'm going to come back in after this dries and add black on top of it. Okay, so then we're going to want to put his beak in there. And for the beaks on this one, I'm going to use a terracotta color. So again, you just need very little because as you could see, their beaks are not that big. And the beak is essentially a triangle. You could see that. I just need to make sure it looks okay. Okay. And then what we're going to want to do is, let's work on some of his detail because some of that's wet over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in with white on the black to make it more textured and look more feathered. So what I'm going to do is use the same brush that I did for the filling in, but I'm going to use the tip of the brush. So I'm going to come back in with some white, and again I'm getting very little paint and taking most of the paint out. It's because we're going to do almost like a dry brush technique. And I'm just going to come and very lightly come in. And if I'm not happy with how white, I'm just going to come back in with the black and go over. And you could see that's just giving it enough detail, you know, for the feathers. And as you can see, I'm coming around the edges and I'm just kind of putting little like wisps, for a lack of a better word. And then I want to come back in here and put in his eyeball. And then in this brown, we're going to come back in and I'm probably going to use the toasted marshmallow on that. And again, I'm going to use the same brush, but I'm going to take as much of the water out as possible. And back into my toasted marshmallow. And again, same kind of thing. Just on the tip of the brush, you're dry brushing through to give it, to soften it and give it feathers. And again, if you're not happy with how much, you could always go back into the initial color and add that in with your and then what I'm going to do is come back in and give this beak a little bit of detail, and I'm going to add some black. Just like that. I may have given it a little too black, so let me just clean that up and give it a little bit more brown. Okay. All right, let's move on to this bird. Let's put his beak in and his eye, and I'm going to use just the black. And for the eye, I'm just gonna paint it in just like a little circle and add his beacon right there, like that. And I think I'm dry enough here, so let me give his eye here. And then for this beak, I'm going to use the terracotta color. All right, so let's go back into this one and give it some details. And basically what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the same brown as here and probably put some of the toasted coconut or toasted marshmallow color in there as well, which is this color. So let's start with the darker brown. And again, you're not looking to have a whole lot of paint on your brush. Just looking to add in the feather details. And when you stay on the tip, you're going to get those more things. How's everybody doing? If you're here, how about if you're still with me, why don't you give me a heart so that I know you're here? Mine is a mess, Victoria said. So what's a mess about it, Victoria? What could I help you with? Okay. My birds do not even look like birds. So, maybe not. And it's hard for me to see because I can't see them. But what we'll do is when we're done, if you want to drop that in the free group, and then I could go on in there and tell you some ways that you could help fix those if you actually need help or if you're just being too critical on yourself. Just grab mine. Okay. And I'm not happy with where that belly is. I'm gonna kind of put that yellow in there a little bit more. Okay. Getting too much yellow in there. Okay. Let's see. Okay. And then let's go to this guy. And again, we're gonna add some brown on this guy. And we'll use the same brown that we used for this one. And again, you want to make sure that you don't have a lot of paint in your brush. And I'm just giving them those wispy edges. on the edge of the brush. And I'm going to do the same thing for the belly. Okay. All right. Let me just look at that quick. Okay. And this guy here, something's not sitting right with me, so I think I'm going to add a little bit more black there and round that out. And again, that's just going back and forth. Sometimes you'll have to go back in and change a few little details as you're doing it, but I just don't like the way his structure is. Let's see. And I think that that looks a little bit better. Okay. And I think I might do this with this guy too. Okay, and then the other thing that you could do is if you wanted to add a different color here. Now some birds are colored. I'm gonna give him a little bit of yellow right in there. Okay. I'm just looking over to see if there's anything I want to change here. And okay. And then what we're going to want to do is go in and we're going to want to put our wire in there. And for the wire, I'm just going to use an olive green. And I'm going to use a round brush for this. And you can make your wire as thick as you want or as thin as you want. And then what we need to do is we need to come back in and we need to put our feet on. And all I'm going to do is take the very thin liner brush like that and come in and just make little feet. Like this. Okay. And there is our three little birds. Let's get you point it back up. All right. I hope you enjoyed painting our birds with us tonight. We will see you next time. Have a great night.